100. This concludes our instructional video on how to get a Discord kitten. Thank you.
What's up? So topic 1, scarcity. Scarcity is when we have unlimited wants but limited resources. Since we cannot sate our desires, we must make choices. Economics is the study of choices. There are two main types of economics, being macro and micro. Macro is the study of economics as a whole. Micro is the study of economics as individuals. The main question to economics is what is the best way to use our resources. When making a choice, there is something called a trade-off, which is all the alternatives you give up. Opportunity cost is the most desirable alternative given up. There are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. There are also 2 subcategories to capital, being physical, which is human-made resources such as ovens, and capital, which is knowledge/skills someone has gained over time. All of this helps us find the best way to utilize our resources. Topic 2, Opportunity Cost and PPC. A production possibility curve, also known as PPC, is a model that shows alternative ways that an economy can use scarce resources. There are 4 key assumptions in making a PPC model. Only 2 goods can be produced: full employment of resources, fixed resources, and fixed economy. Before we graph a PPC graph, we shall get a friend. This is Richard. Hi! Be quiet. He's a little special in the head. We're going to teach him how to graph a PPC graph. When making a production possibilities curve, you'll be given a table with 2 goods and you'll need to graph them. Simple. When looking into the graph, you'll see opportunity cost. The opportunity cost is the item that is being given up for more of the other item. For example, the opportunity cost of B to D would be 7 bikes. On this graph, we could also see what is efficient, inefficient, and unattainable. Anything on the curve is efficient, while things that are below it are inefficient. And what's above it is unattainable. On a PPC graph, there are also shifters. A shift is when the graph moves more inward or outward. An inward shift would be if we had less employees or if our resources were cut. And an outward shift would be if there are new technologies or better ways to produce the goods. But, Ocean! Well, why would it shift up and down? Shut up, Richard. Sorry. Anyways, the reason why is because they can make more with the more advanced technology or that they have, and if it shifted down, they would make less. It would be less because they have less resources to make as much as they did before. Topic 3, comparative advantage and benefits of trade. There are 2 advantages, absolute and comparative advantage. Absolute advantage is when you can produce most with its resources, or they require the least amount of inputs. Comparative advantage, that means you have the best opportunity cost for your good. Let's look at an example. In this table, you can see that China has an absolute advantage in wheat, but India has a comparative advantage in wheat. So India should produce wheat. But, Ocean, China makes more than India, so they should do it. No. China should let India focus on making wheat, since you see China loses 2 potatoes every week, but India only loses 1.25. So they should make it. Okay, I see. Yeah, you better see. According to the graph, India will specialize in wheat and China will specialize in potatoes, which would yield greater results because they would be the most efficient and they can trade with each other for cheaper prices. A mutually beneficial trade would be 1 wheat for 1.10 potatoes, because it would be cheaper for both of them to afford if they both produced it. Topic 4, demand. Demand is the price and quantity of goods a consumer is willing to buy a product in. The law of demand is that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. If the price of the good increased, the quantity of the good would decrease. There are also shifts in demand graphs, reasons that demand would shift if people had different tastes or preferences, the number of consumers decreased, the price of related goods decreased or increased, or if they had a decrease or increase in income, or if the consumers expect something to change in the future. Topic 5. Supply are the different quantities of goods sellers are willing to sell for at different prices. There is a direct relationship between price and quantity for supply. Basically, if they sold less of a product, the price would also decrease. Reasons for shift in the supply graph would be if the prices or availability of resources change, if there are more sellers or less sellers, if there are new technologies, or if there is government intervention, or if there's just expectations for future profit. Basically, demand, consumer, supply, seller. Yeah, so, Ocean, why haven't I seen a graph or anything yet? Here comes the fun part. Topic 6, equilibrium and changes in equilibrium. There are two things that you need to know before you learn about equilibrium: shortage and surplus. Shortage is when you have a low amount of goods to sell since people are buying them. Surplus is when you have an extra amount of goods to sell since people are buying it less. Alright, little Richard. Now that you know everything you need to know, time to learn about equilibrium. Equilibrium is the point that the supply and demand graphs cross. There are also shifts in equilibrium when there are shifts in demand and supply. When the supply or demand shifts down or up, it will create a shortage or surplus. Basically, when the demand goes down, the price and quantity will have to go down to establish a new equilibrium. Or if the supply goes up, they will have to sell it for more money to establish a new equilibrium. Or if there was a double shift, the price would not be identifiable, but the quantity would be. And like equilibrium is basically the price that you want to sell your product for and the amount you want to sell it at, because that's the perfect amount. Wow, Ocean, that was a lot to take in. Yeah, must have been a lot for your little brain. Anyways, bye.